Hi, I'm Greg Yulin with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected. Today's a really fun episode. I get to talk with Armando Penales, the Assistant Sales Manager at Manhattan Beach Toyota. Really excited about this one. Armando has really spearheaded accessory sales at this Toyota dealership out kind of LA area, and I'm interested in talking with him because it seems like everybody's tried accessories, and most have either had moderate success or pretty poor success. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation, understanding how to knock it out of the park. So Armando, thanks so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess to start, setting the table a little bit, obviously we're at a place right now where in the front end of the store, when you're selling a car, margins are starting to come back down to reality, right? And we're looking at interest rates going up. So it's getting more difficult to get a decent spread on financing. So a lot of people are looking for ways to maintain as much profitability as possible, so that we don't come into this big downward slope when it comes to profit. You guys, and you specifically, have really dug into accessories. So I guess let's just start with what kind of an impact has it had for you? You've been doing it for a while now. It's not something that you just started. So what types of results are you seeing? How much are you doing? And I guess basically just start with what impact it's had for you in the dealership.
Impact number-wise, it's pretty amazing. Just last 2 months ago, we did 70 grand. This past month, we just ended with a little close to 60. So I think it's impacting number-wise with the dealership a lot.
Yeah, and on how many cars is that?
About 100, 150, I'd say.
Okay. All right. So I mean, pretty decent volume, but that's a lot of revenue. Because I mean, what's that work out to per car? I mean,
per car, looking at average about $500-600 per car.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. I mean, it's not just floor mats, right?
No, it ranges from like wheel locks to emblems to exhaust systems. So just depending on, the person, what they plan on using the vehicle for. So.
Yeah. So with you, so 100 to 150 cars, is that all new, or are you doing it with used as well?
We're doing both new and also used vehicles.
Okay. So I got to ask, maybe it's an obvious question, maybe it's not, but you're selling Toyotas for the most part, right? Yeah. So it's not like a Jeep or a Subaru where there's these massive outpourings of everybody wants to accessorize in some way, shape, or form, right? You never see a Jeep Gladiator that's stock, right? Every one of them's got big wheels and tires on it. It's jacked up. But a Camry, you do see a lot of those stocks. So I guess talk to me a little bit about, what are people buying at $500 and $600 per vehicle? You said anything from emblems to exhaust systems, but what's an average one look like? Because it does, I don't know, it stands out to me that you're a very mainstream dealer, but you're selling a ton of accessories. So what's that typically look like?
Yeah, just the top three categories starting this year. The number one would be locking the wheels. So alloy wheel locks are very popular. Another thing that's becoming popular this year would be the catalytic converters. Average price ticket on those is about $700-800. And then third is coming in with catalytic converters with trucks that's lifted up higher off the ground. So that's becoming very popular right now.
Okay, so with lifts, are you seeing that truck and SUV kind of all light trucks? Does that kind of fit in together there?
Yeah, we do lifts. We actually just did one Saturday. Yeah, if people can buy a truck, they're going to lift it. Might as well do it here at the dealership.
Yeah. So how do you, all right, so again, most people are trying or have tried accessories in the past, right? So what are you doing maybe that you think is different? And obviously you guys are using Add-on Auto, which is one of our products, so we appreciate that. But regardless of the software you're using or the product you're using, walk through, I guess, a little bit of the process and what that looks like. Because that's obviously what you're driving and where the discipline comes in and where you actually sell, right? So walk through the process. How are you doing it?
Sure. Well, obviously the Add-on Auto program is wonderful. It's great. Works seamless with our system. But I think some people like to be visual. They like to see it. I think that's one of the problems with other dealerships I think that they may have. So what I've created was pictures. People like to see. I have pictures. They see it. This is the item. This is the benefit. But process is once the vehicle is sold, once the customer says, I want to buy the vehicle, sales rep gets all the paperwork into the sales manager's area. I go in while they're waiting to go into finance, while they're excited about the vehicle. I kind of look at what vehicle they have so I can kind of know, okay, if they have tinted windows, maybe they're going to want tinted windows. If they have a Jeep Wrangler, they're getting a 4Runner, they have larger tires, maybe suggest, hey, you know what, you have this on your Jeep, on the 4Runner, we do offer rims. So the process is while they're waiting to go into the business office, I load up the add-on auto program. And the good thing about that system, it is web-based. So I don't have to be stationed in my desk. I can go to their desk. I can do it on a laptop, iPad. So I just present, I pull up the spec sheet of the vehicle, and I go over what's on the vehicle, and then I go into the presentation on what's not on the vehicle. And I just select, all the items that's not on it. I just let them lightly know, hey, look, it's an option. You don't have to select anything. And at the end, I'll pull up a shopping cart. You can pick and choose. So as I load everything up, on the items that's not on the vehicle, and I just ask them at the end of them, if not all, which one would you prefer? And more times than enough, they select one, and I just kind of go on to the next one. Well, do you want, we'll say the locks, or you want me to remove them? And we just kind of go down the list. And by the end of the presentation, we'll have 3 or 4 items on the card and put out this sheet, and they sign it off, and we order and then install it.
Nice, nice. So for you then, you said order it right then. You're not keeping an inventory. So you don't have a big inventory of accessories that you have to manage and that's in the store. You're going to order pretty much everything?
Yeah, the service person, we have a assigned person that orders it the day after, and they communicate the parts. They order the items, they communicate back to that service person, and once all the items are in, we call them in for the appointment.
Good, good. Now, are you doing primarily Toyota parts, like OEM parts, or are you doing aftermarket parts, or a mix of both? What are you doing?
Mix of both, but a high percentage will be OEM Toyota. A small percentage, I'd say maybe 10, 15%. We go out third party like tint, leather, heated seats, parking sensors. We do have another third party that does that. So about 3 or 4 different vendors.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, do you actually outsource it and send it to somebody else to do, or are you just purchasing the items, purchasing the parts from them, and then you install it in-house on those items?
We would source them out, and they would come to the dealership and provide the parts. They would install here at the dealership.
Got it. All right. Well, talk to me a little bit too. So you're presenting basically to every customer, right?
Yes.
So everybody that buys a car, new or used, you're talking to them after they buy the car.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So talk to me a little bit then about financing, because this is one that seems to be a sticking point at times, right? So if somebody's financing, maybe they can only put a couple grand down or something like that. Like, so if they're financing a large portion of the purchase, and then you're saying, all right, hey, here's another $1,000 or something like that, right? Are you typically rolling that into the finance deal, or are they paying cash using a credit card? What do you see usually happening there?
Yeah, I'd say, well, they have the option, and a high percentage would rather roll into their payment. A lot of people don't want to, pay cash, but
Sure.
a small percent that want to pay separate, which is fine. When we go through the add-on auto presentation, it does show if it's a lease, it'll show a different in payment. In finance, it'll show that difference. So they have that option. I do let them know you don't have to roll into their payment. You can pay partial or all of it separate. That's solely up to the customer.
Yeah. Have you run into issues at all with financing above the value of the vehicle?
Oh yeah. There's sometimes where I can't do the presentation because they won't get approved, but
Right.
I still go in because sometimes they would pay separate, so they have that option. Hey, I can't finance it because of the percentage, so they end up paying separate. So I found that some people are doing that as well.
But you're not pre-qualifying them. I mean, you're still presenting, even if you know that they're kind of maxed out on what they're going to be able to loan.
No, not pre-qualifying, not at all. I mean, yeah, just because they can't get approved doesn't mean they won't pay separate.
Yeah. You mentioned a minute ago lease. I hadn't really thought about that until you just said it, but what percentage of vehicles that you guys are doing are lease versus finance or cash or whatever, lease versus retail?
Okay. Financing is a lot of people are financing more, so I'd
Sure.
say maybe 20%, 30% leasing versus finance, I'd say.
Okay. Now, do you have do you notice a different penetration on accessories on lease versus retail? And I just ask because so a lease customer they don't own the car, right? Are they more
Right.
hesitant to put something else on it?
They're a little hesitant, but people do still, purchase accessories and be leasing it. The only problem is it just doesn't residualize, so when they factor into their payment, kind of goes up a little higher than normal would it be on a finance.
Okay. But again, you're asking every time regardless, right? Let them make the
Absolutely.
decision.
Absolutely. Just like Saturday, we had a person who leased a RAV4 Prime,
Okay.
and they're people who lease are kind of hesitant, but right now with that, they want this catalytic converter shield, so he had no problem, rolling that into his payment when he's leasing it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So how do you make sure to, I guess, what's your talk track to make a person more comfortable with the idea of adding something to a leased vehicle? Because selling is all about education, right? You're educating them on the products, but I have to imagine one of those big pushbacks is, well, like, why am I going to accessorize this thing when I'm going to give it back to you in 2 years? Or am I even allowed to accessorize it, per the lease contract? So how do you go about educating them that, yeah, it's okay and you should do it?
Yeah, some people they're hesitant with, hey, if I leased a vehicle, if I add this to it, do I need to remove it? But that seems to be, not a problem. We receive a lot of leases with, tinted windows or other things that they add to it, but I don't see that's a problem with them returning it. But they're not hesitant at all. The percentage isn't as high as a finance buyer or a cash buyer, but there's people who still lease a vehicle. They still want to personalize their vehicle.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. All right, so coming back around, you are the man at your dealership, right? You're the one that sells accessories on every car, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now I'm imagining, at 100 to 150 a month, you're pretty busy. But do you ever try to sell in the service department too? Like, do you ever go back there? Somebody's waiting. Hey, I saw you pull in. You ever thought about fill in the blank, right? These fender flares or something. You ever venture back there at all, or do you stay? I mean, are you pretty stacked up and busy during the day where you're in the sales department?
Sometimes I do go back there. Actually, I see a vehicle back there. I start chit chatting with them, and then yeah, sometimes it does lead to blacking out those emblems. There's definitely an opportunity with customers that go the service drive because they already like the dealership, so
Right.
they're already comfortable with us, and nothing wrong with a friendly person coming up and saying, "Hey, you have a nice vehicles or anything you want to personalize your vehicle with." But yeah, that is a success. Going back there and talking to customers in the service drive.
Nice. Is there ever so when you do that, is there ever any friction with an advisor, or is that advisor kind of getting that on the ticket and they don't care? They're good. Hey, if somebody else wants to sell, have at it. Like,
No, but I can see that, that service writer thinking that behind their head. But no, I haven't had that issue with, selling to their customers that are servicing their vehicle. No, not at all.
yeah. Well, I assume if you're doing that much in accessories every month, that they probably like you. Right, you're sending work back to them, so there's probably
Right.
a good healthy relationship there, I would assume.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so sales focus, but get back to service every now and then too. Walk me through, I guess, and maybe this was your decision, maybe it was Ron's your GM, but walk me through how to ensure. So somebody that's just not doing accessories today, or they're there, but it's kind of I can put some floor mats in there for you, right? Some all weather floor mats. They're not really focused on it. How do you make it a priority? Because everybody's busy, right? Everybody's buried. Nobody's standing around waiting for work to do. So if there's this much money in it. Why not go after it? And a lot of times the answer is, I don't have time. It's a pain in the butt. I don't necessarily know what to do. So how do you go about prioritizing it? Can you speak to your experience a little bit?
Prioritizing selling the accessories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just think there's an opportunity to make, a little bit of cash. I
Right.
think it helps out, the customer because if they're going to buy it, might as well, buy it from the dealership. Why lose at, those, the accessory sales. If it's important to, my boss, guess what? It's important to me. So that's pretty easy.
No, that's good. That's good. Can you talk a little bit too about, I guess, thinking about the process? So you're kind of the stop before F&I, right? So salesperson, they agree to the car, they're going to see you, you're going to sell them some accessories, and they go into F&I. Has there been, or is there ever any tension between you and your F&I managers where, because there is some hesitation at times where people are like, especially from the F&I's office's perspective, they're not going to buy product from me because they're spending more money with you, right? They can only buy so much stuff in this car. The car's $40,000. They're going to buy $2,000 worth of stuff from you, and you're going to eat into my insurance products, right, or my aftermarket products. So, is there ever any friction there, and how do you manage that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I'm sure the finance manager has that behind their mind. Same with the service technician. But I think if the store manager, the GM, has your back, supports you, I think there wouldn't be any friction, and there hasn't been. The finance guys are, they're nice. They understand, hey, this is a program the dealership wants to make, and I believe we are all on board with it.
No, that's good. Yeah, just getting everybody. That's a good point, though, right? Everybody needs to operate under the same expectation. Nobody's taking anything away from anybody else. This is our process, and this is what we do. So it's almost like, it sounds like, at least what I'm hearing is, you all made a decision, and this is how you're gonna. This is what your full sales process looks like. Forget about selling the car. Forget about F&I. Like the entire sales process. Map it out, and everybody's on board, and this is how we operate. I mean, is that pretty fair?
I would say so. Yeah, I think that's how
No,
we get this presentation done.
Good. So talk to me a little too about, and not specifics or anything with dollars, but about compensation. So that's one that seems to be a sticking point too, right? When somebody wants to get into accessories, and you start looking at the margins on accessories, right? How much are you going to actually make on the part? How much are you going to make on the labor putting it on? And then you got to sell or you got to pay somebody to sell it. Right? Like, how do you compensate someone, or some dealerships try to do it with sales reps, right? Where maybe that's a place that people fall apart. I don't know. But did you guys try different variations of selling accessories before landing on what you did? And what did you learn? What did those look like?
Yeah, we actually rolled it out to the sales reps, each salesperson. They sell the vehicle. We instructed them to, as they're waiting to go into finance, to offer these accessories. It worked out a little bit, but salespeople, sometimes they get kind of caught up with taking the vehicle to the back. They kind of forget, kind of lose track of, the importance of what we're trying to accomplish. So we did that a few times. I think a few times where it kind of went down. And I just kind of mentioned it to Ron. I was like, hey, look, give me the opportunity. I'll make it work. Because my background, I've had accessory sales in my previous jobs, and I know how important it is, for that customer to get those accessories and getting at the time of purchase. And I see a high percentage of people accessorizing, that vehicle at the time of purchase. So, in my mind, I already knew, hey, 3 times, it's always 3 times, I'm going to go and see what impact I can make. And Ronnie gave me that opportunity, and I took the bull by his horns and made sure it worked.
That's great. So talk about 3 times. What do you mean by that? Expand on that for me.
Yeah, I just gave the sales reps an opportunity. Hey, look, we're telling you guys, hey, this is what we want you to do. So it worked. It didn't work. So that was the first time. So we gave it to him again, and it kind of fills out just a little bit. 3rd time. So after the 3rd time, I was like, look, and I knew it was important to Ron and Brad. So I was like, look, put me in charge of it. I'll make sure it worked. And he gave me the opportunity. And
That's
and I believe it's working pretty good.
great. Did you ever have any hesitations? So that's a big, I mean, you're stepping up, right? And you're kind of putting your name
Yes.
out there, and you're putting your name and kind of your reputation out there, saying, "Hey, I'll do it." And then they say, "Okay, have at it." Did you have any hesitations? Were you anxious about that at all?
No, at all. Not at all. I mean, as a salesperson and working in a dealership, this is what we do, and I'm thinking it's a pretty easy part of the process, but no hesitation at all.
Good, good. And you've been in this role now for what, 5, 6 years, something like
Five,
that?
6 years, moving on
Yeah,
strong. Yes.
that's great. That's great. So, talk to me a little bit too about preloading. Are you doing any preloads at all, or are you just selling after the sale? Like putting the accessories on the vehicle and selling it, basically installing the accessories before the vehicle's sold. Are you doing any of that?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we have a vehicle that's in transit, and some people come from a far distance. So when they come in, they want those accessories installed and not want to come back and drive another X amount of, miles. But yeah, we do that. Sometimes people prepay. I do have, a dollar. I think last month we did about 3 to 4 thousand that was prepaid prior to the vehicle coming in. But yeah, people are doing that. They do want to pay up front, have those accessories installed prior to picking it up.
Nice. But when you do it, then it's all as part of the order, right? You're not going to put accessories on a vehicle and put it on the lot and then wait for somebody to say, "I like that one." Everything that you're going to sell accessory wise, the customer has already committed to.
Right. Yeah, we don't have accessories other than what it comes with from the factory, but we don't want to put them on the vehicle, have a second addendum, and kind of rub a customer the wrong way because some people don't really want that and they kind of shy away, end up leaving. So yeah, Brad doesn't want to do that. Same with Ron. Presenting it at the time after the purchase, I think is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, well, especially with somebody like you that's focused on it. I mean, it's your job, right? Like this is what you do. You sell accessories all day long. So, and you're good at it. You know what you're doing. You have a process that works. And I think that's really the key, because I think some people will almost fall back on preloading because they like the idea of accessories. They like the idea of increasing the margin on the vehicle,
Right.
but they've tried, having salespeople, to your point, like they tried 3 times trying to get people to sell these things and they can't get it done. So maybe let's try putting them on before the sale. So I like that you don't do it honestly, and you kind of take it as an art to be able to help somebody out and sell them on something that they need. I think you've mentioned a few examples that really make sense, right? The catalytic converter shield. That's a seemingly easy one, right? With a pretty simple value prop. So I like that. Any others that stand out to you? You mentioned a few off the top, right? Like wheel locks. You said the catalytic converter shield lifts.
Mhm.
Any others that you've seen pretty consistent success with? Are there any of those kind of layups? Like for me, anytime I buy a vehicle, I always buy all weather floor mats. I just do.
I was just about to say that.
So yeah,
those
all
are
weather floor mats.
those are popular. That's definitely a go-to. The all-weather mats, and then being with the new vehicle, a lot of people don't like getting dents on their doors when they go to these shopping centers. So the side molding is very important. That becomes a huge item. Same with the edges of the doors being protected. A lot of people don't like new cars opening up and see a chip mark on it. Tint's pretty popular. Another thing that's popular is going to be the blacking out the emblems. That's becoming very popular.
So educate me for risk of sounding ignorant on this. When you say blacking out the emblems, I mean, essentially you're just swapping out the emblem, right? You pop the original off, you put a black one on it, or is there more to it than that? What am I missing?
Sure, yeah. It's actually an overlay. So a lot of people
Okay.
think that we remove the emblems, but it's an adhesive overlay that goes over the existing badging. It's a matte black color, and I see a lot of other brands doing it, and they're just getting caught on, and a lot of people want the badges not chromed out anymore. So it's changing
Yeah.
it to matte black.
What about wheels? I'm seeing a lot of black wheels too. Are you seeing
Yeah.
that as an upgrade option a decent amount?
Yeah, we actually did powder coating rims on a RAV4 Prime, which I took pictures of this morning as I walked in. But yeah, that's very popular. Even though these rims are coming like black and half chrome, a lot of people want them all black, and that's become a big hit.
Yeah. Nice. So you're just doing a powder coating over the top though, rather than selling new wheels. You're really doing a powder coating, and that I assume, I could be wrong, margins are better on that.
Yeah, actually. But yeah, no, not many aftermarket rims. A lot of people want to stay with original OEM. And plus, the looks of these Toyota rims are pretty darn good looking. So powder coating looks really nice on these vehicles. And they also have pictures to kind of show, hey, look, you can powder coat the rims to black. This is what it would look like. And some people, want that look.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right though. With with factory rims anymore, they're beautiful. Like I don't get how there's much of a market anymore for aftermarket rims and wheels. It just it used to be way back. You needed something, if you wanted something with a little flair. There wasn't an option from the factory, right? Everything was pretty.
Right.
Kind of, I guess, standard looking, maybe a little boring. But in today's world, I mean, everything looks great. So it's it's tough to make it look better without doing something like you're talking about.
Right.
So how have over time here? How have customers reacted? Is it positive? Are they super excited? Are they grateful? Do they feel like I don't know what does that interaction look like? Are you able to get a good read on the customer? Because obviously, they go through the buying process. They're excited. They want to buy a car, right? And they land on the car. They get a deal done. There's that feeling of like, all right, it's my car. They go through F&I, depending on the process and depending on the consumer. Could be, they could come out feeling great. They could come out feeling like, oh, shoot, I'm running late now because it took a little time. But with that accessories interaction, it's a lot of wants in a lot of cases, right? I want it to look prettier. I want it to do this. I want it to do that. So I have an assumption, but I want to hear from you kind of what you see as the reaction from customers having the opportunity to go through this accessories process.
Yeah, I'd say there no hesitation at all. I mean, you'll get that low percent of, person who wants to come in and out of the dealership, but majority of them, they like the presentation. They actually thank me for going over what the vehicle has and what it doesn't have, because had I not gone over it, they wouldn't know that was available. And of course, at the time, people are excited. It's a big purchase, next to be purchasing a house, and people want that vehicle to be part of them. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty happy to go over that presentation, to spend that time. And it's not a long time. It's about 10 minutes max, I'd say, to go over that, what's on and what's not, and they end up signing. So it's pretty successful when they're coming in and purchasing a vehicle and they're happy about it.
Yeah, good. And it sounds like, just kind of looking down as you were talking, I was taking a few notes, obviously, but it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a decent percentage, certainly it sounds like a majority of what you're selling is more based in functional needs versus just visual looks, right? So when you're talking about security with the wheel locks, you're talking about security with the cat guards, you're talking about more maintenance, I guess, with the trim on the doors. So is that fair to say? Where, and maybe it's just for people to shift their mindset a little bit. In accessories, you naturally think of a 3-inch lift and big wheels and tires and a snorkel and all kinds of stuff. But when you're talking through it, it sounds like a much larger percentage of folks. You're really just educating on what's out there to solve a problem that they may or may not know that exists.
Yeah, yeah, I am solving a problem that they may not know that exists. Like some people don't know, people are taking these catalytic converters. So I just tell them, hey, this is a feature, this is a benefit. So as long as you up the value with the feature and benefit, educate them. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So do you have a guess, or maybe but what percentage of your sales are kind of those need-based sales versus kind of wants or looks-based sales, appearance-based sales?
I'd say about 50-50, I'd say.
Really? Okay.
50-50.
I like it. Yeah. And what about this is another one that I imagine has gone down over the years and will continue to, but I'm curious. Electronics inside the vehicle. So it used to be, right, when we were probably in high school, we got our first car, we had to go out and buy a stereo, right, because you didn't want the old stock stereo. But in today's world, the infotainment system's so robust in these vehicles. My assumption is you're probably not selling a lot of electronics in the dash, but I'm curious, are you, or are there convenience features interior that you're selling too?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, with the audio systems with Toyotas, they're amazing. Whether it has JBL system or not, you do have electronic equalizer that you can fine tune, that audio system. Yeah, we don't do much of, audio systems. Back in the day, yeah, you're right. You buy a vehicle, you want to change out that hand unit, get a couple of amps, get a subs. But right now, I think the audio system is right there. There's no need to change that out. But there's a very, very small percentage of people who ask about it. But I kind of tend to shy away from that because of you don't want to cross electrical systems, mess with the safety that's going on with Toyota. But yeah, we don't do sound systems. We don't want to get involved with cutting wires, tripping, and doing any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was guessing that, but I figured I'd ask because you're the man. You do a lot of these. One other thing I just wanted to touch base on. You had mentioned, or at least I forget who I was talking to, but you guys have some execs from Toyota coming to visit, right, to take a look at your process and what you're doing.
Yes.
No, that's pretty slick. When will that visit be? Are you excited for that, or is that kind of like a little nerve wracking? Or I mean, that's a big deal.
Toyota did come down last month. They
Okay.
went over some accessories that they thought would work great. But yeah, they did come down, and I did show them the process, and it seemed like they were, pretty excited about that. But yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
impressed that they came down to ask about what we were doing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's a a huge tip of the hat to you. It's a compliment that hopefully you were able to take that way, because if they recognize, especially you said you're selling a lot of Toyota parts, right? So I'm sure they see it, they recognize it, and they see the numbers, and they were probably interested in what the heck you're doing. So that's pretty cool. That's really neat that you were able to share that with them, and hopefully they had a lot to take away too.
Yeah.
Well, Armando, I definitely appreciate you taking time. What haven't we talked about that we should? Anything else you want to touch on before we jump off of here?
No, I think no, I don't have anything else other than, sell these accessories.
Yeah, definitely. You're if anybody should be advocating for it, obviously you've proven it out. You took a risk. You said, "Give it to me, I'll make it work," and you did. So, clearly it takes some skills, some talent, some hard work. But I love it. Yeah, well, a lot probably, but you made it happen, and you're still making it happen. So love what you're doing, and in today's world, right, as people are looking at margins kind of dipping down from where they were a year or two ago, there's an opportunity here, and you've done a great job clearly over the last handful of years. Probably more than half of a decade at this point, but making it happen and having a big impact for yourself, but also for the store. So, congrats to you. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, again, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for hopping on. And I guess until next time, have a great day. Get back out there on the sales floor, go back and check out the service lane to see if you can get some more stuff sold. All right. Well, Armando Penales, thank you so much for talking, and have a great week.
You too. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you. Well, that was a great conversation with Armando Penales from Manhattan Beach Toyota. He's doing a great job with accessories. Obviously, we've all probably tried it at some point and had some level of success or not. But I think he's a good example of you dedicate yourself to it and put time into it and effort into it, and it can have a huge impact for the dealership. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Before we hop off, don't forget you can watch or listen to episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. We'll see you in 2 weeks.